Welcome back to Story Rush 2. Tonight, we're stepping into one of the darkest and most chilling mysteries in American crime history. A story soaked in glamour, tragedy, and horror. A murder so brutal it shocked Los Angeles to its core and left behind a mystery that has haunted the city for more than 70 years. This is the story of Elizabeth Short, a woman who would be remembered forever under a haunting nickname, the Black Dahlia. Los Angeles in the 1940s was a city buzzing with ambition. It was the dream factory of Hollywood, a place where countless young women arrived every year, hoping to catch a break in the film industry. They came chasing stardom, looking for lights, cameras, and fame. But behind the golden glow of the movie studios was a darker side of Los Angeles' city, filled with crime, corruption, and broken dreams. Elizabeth Short was one of those dreamers. Born in 1924 in Boston, she grew up in a fractured family. Her father had abandoned the family during the Great Depression, leaving her mother to raise 5 children alone. Elizabeth was a striking young woman, with jet black hair, pale skin, and piercing eyes that gave her a mysterious allure. Friends and acquaintances said she was quiet, soft-spoken, and deeply insecure about her future. But she carried herself with a kind of elegance that made people notice her. Like many young women of her time, Elizabeth wanted more than the small life she had known. She dreamed of becoming an actress. By the mid-1940s, she was living in California, drifting from one place to another. Sometimes staying with acquaintances, sometimes with men who promised her help, but always chasing that elusive dream. She earned the nickname, the Black Dahlia, from locals because of her striking style, black dresses, black shoes, and her love of the mystery film The Blue Dahlia, which had been released around that time. But on the morning of January 15, 1947, Elizabeth Short's dream turned into a nightmare that would shock the nation. In a quiet neighborhood of Los Angeles, a woman named Betty Bersinger was out for a morning walk with her daughter. As she passed a vacant lot on South Norton Avenue, something caught her eye. At first, she thought it was a discarded mannequin, pale and split in half. But as she stepped closer, her stomach turned. It wasn't a mannequin at all. It was the body of a woman, mutilated and posed in a way so disturbing that even hardened police officers would never forget what they saw. Elizabeth Short's body had been cut cleanly in two at the waist. Her arms were stretched above her head. Her face had been slashed from the corners of her mouth to her ears, leaving a grotesque Glasgow smile. Her body had been drained of blood, leaving her skin ghostly white. There were no fingerprints, no signs of struggle at the scene. Whoever had killed her had carefully cleaned her body before placing it there. News of the discovery spread quickly, and within hours the story was splashed across newspapers. The lurid details of the crime and Elizabeth's striking appearance fueled a media frenzy. The press gave her the nickname that stuck forever, the Black Dahlia. Overnight, Elizabeth Short went from an aspiring actress to the centerpiece of one of the most notorious unsolved murders in American history. The Los Angeles Police Department launched an immediate investigation. Dozens of detectives worked the case. Hundreds of people were interviewed. Every lead was pursued, every clue dissected. But the case was messy from the start. The media swarmed the investigation, and false leads poured in from all over the country. People claimed to have seen Elizabeth in the days before her death. Others confessed to the murder, some seeking attention, others simply mentally unstable. One of the strangest twists came when the killer himself seemed to reach out. A few days after the murder, the Los Angeles Examiner received an envelope. Inside was Elizabeth Short's birth certificate, photographs, business cards, and an address book with several pages torn out. The package had been carefully cleaned with gasoline to remove fingerprints, and the envelope had been cut and pasted with letters like a ransom note. It was signed, the Black Dahlia Avenger. This taunting letter made it clear. The killer was watching. He was enjoying the chaos he had created. More letters followed, some mocking the police, others making vague confessions, but none led to a solid suspect. The LAPD looked at anyone who had known Elizabeth. They questioned men she had dated, roommates she had lived with, and people who had seen her in the days before her death. Witnesses last saw her at the Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles, where she had been waiting for someone. After that, she vanished until her body appeared in that vacant lot. Over the years, hundreds of suspects have been named. One of the most notorious was a doctor named George Hodel. He was a wealthy, eccentric physician who lived in a sprawling mansion in Los Angeles. Hodel was later accused of sexually abusing his own daughter, and he had ties to the darker underbelly of Hollywood society. Decades later, his own son, a former LAPD detective, would claim that his father was the Black Dahlia killer, pointing to photographs, evidence of surgical skill in the body's dismemberment, and even recordings of Hodel making suspicious comments. But no charges were ever brought, and to this day, Hodel remains only a suspect. Others have pointed fingers at drifters, gangsters, and even police officers themselves. Some believe Elizabeth's murder was the work of a serial killer who struck before and after 1947. Others think it was a personal crime of passion, committed by someone she knew. But perhaps the most chilling part of the story is that, despite decades of investigation, despite modern forensic science, the case remains officially unsolved. Elizabeth Short's murder became more than just a crime. It became a symbol of Hollywood's dark side. In the years that followed, her story was retold in books, films, and endless theories. She was remembered not just for the horror of her death, but for the tragic reminder that beneath the glittering surface of Los Angeles lay shadows no spotlight could erase. But let's pause for a moment. Who was Elizabeth Short really? It's easy to reduce her to the Black Dahlia, the victim of a gruesome murder. But before that day, she was a young woman with dreams, flaws, and struggles. Friends described her as sweet, kind, even a little naive. She wanted love, stability, and a chance to shine on screen. In many ways, she represented the countless women who flocked to Los Angeles, chasing something bigger, often finding heartbreak instead. Her murder shook America not just because of its brutality, but because of what it represented: the destruction of innocence, the collision between dream and nightmare. Even today, the story lingers. Tourists still drive past the site where her body was found. Bookshelves still carry titles speculating about the killer's identity. And every so often, new evidence or theories resurface, keeping the Black Dahlia case alive in the public imagination. Some people say the case will never be solved, that too much time has passed, that evidence has been lost, that witnesses are gone. Others believe modern DNA technology may one day reveal the truth. But until then, the murder of Elizabeth Short remains an open wound in the history of Los Angeles' story that refuses to fade. The Black Dahlia is more than just a murder case. It's a reminder of how a single tragedy can capture the imagination of a city. And a nation, how the line between fame and infamy can blur in an instant, and how some mysteries are destined to remain unsolved. And maybe that's why we can't stop talking about it, because the unknown terrifies us more than anything. Because deep down, we wonder who Elizabeth Short might have been if she had lived, if her dreams had come true, if her story had ended differently. Instead, she became a ghost that still haunts Los Angeles, a young woman frozen in time, forever remembered as the Black Dahlia. That is the chilling tale of Elizabeth Short, a story of beauty, ambition, and horror. A crime that turned Hollywood's dreamscape into a nightmare. A mystery that refuses to die. Thank you for joining me on Story Rush 2. If you found this story haunting, if you want more dark dives into history's most chilling mysteries, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think killed the Black Dahlia? Was it George Hodel? Was it someone else entirely? Or will the truth remain buried forever? Until next time, keep questioning, keep searching. And remember, sometimes the most terrifying stories are the ones that never find an ending.